Welcome aboard, Deathworlder. The jungle screamed. Birds didn't chirp here. They shrieked in multi-octave wails. Trees didn't just grow, they lunged. And the insects? They had exoskeletons strong enough to crack glass and mandibles that could shear a steel cable. This was Jexara, a Class X death world, and only a fool or a human would willingly set foot on it. Sergeant Dana Reyes was both. She stomped through the underbrush, sweat trailing down her temple, dragging the severed limb of a now-dead vine beast behind her like it was an afterthought. Her left arm was bleeding where one of the beast's thorns had scratched her during the skirmish, but the wound didn't even sting anymore. "Just a scratch," she muttered, wiping the blood on her pants. "Barely broke the skin." Back aboard the GMS Sanitas, the orbiting galactic medical ship tasked with studying Jexar's ecosystem, a very different perspective was forming. "Warning! Warning!" the AI blared. "Deathworlder entering medbay with open biological contamination. Species, human. Condition, unknown. Potential planetary pathogen detected." Dr. Strick TAA froze mid-appendage. The Chirrut TI medic's compound eyes widened as he received the footage. There she was, the human, striding calmly into the ship's sterile medical bay, blood streaking her bare arm, casually dragging a severed alien limb like it was a gym bag. "By the stars," Strick TAA whispered. "She's infected." The assistant medic, a gelatinous being named Bluerv, jiggled nervously. "Should I initiate quarantine?" "Quarantine? Initiate lockdown. She could be host to a viral cascade. That limb could be reproducing spores. We don't even know how Jexaran flora transmits." Reyes stepped into the room and blinked as alarms started to scream around her. Door slammed shut. A red force field snapped into place behind her. Lights dimmed. A robotic decontamination arm shot toward her with a spray of ionized gas. "What the hell?" she coughed. "Guys, I just came for a med patch." 30 seconds later, Reyes found herself strapped to a levitating gurney with an oxygen mask clamped to her face and 4 aliens trying to extract blood samples from various limbs, 2 of which didn't even have veins. "Whoa, whoa, whoa," she shouted, spitting out the mask. "This is a bit much, don't you think? I'm not dying." Dr. Strickte tilted his head, antennae trembling. "Your species' vital signs are notoriously misleading. You're bleeding. You carried a Class 6 carnoplantal. You walked into a sterile area without protection. Your pulse is, wait, it's steady. Too steady. I'm just built different." Reyes grinned, wincing as they probed her arm. "It's a scratch. Probably allergic to me anyway." Blurv quivered. "She thinks the alien plant is allergic to her." The AI interjected, cross-referencing human immune responses with known Jexaran toxins. Result: inconclusive. Human immune systems demonstrate aggressive overcompensation. Advisory: proceed with extreme caution. Reyes sighed. "Back home, we call that being healthy." 10 minutes later, Reyes was in quarantine. Again, the glass walls shimmered. Her bed was comfortable enough. A tray of nutrition supplements had been delivered through a sealed port, tasteless cubes that were species neutral. She poked one and frowned. The intercom buzzed. "Sergeant Reyes," Strick TAA's voice crackled. "Your medical readings suggest a potential dormant hybrid contaminant. We've notified the Galactic Pathogen Council, and—" "I told you guys," Reyes groaned, mouthful of nutrient cube. "It's just a scratch. You are bleeding acidic compounds. It's called sweat." Blurb chimed in nervously. "She's metabolizing toxins from the plant venom. No other species can do that without full organ failure." Reyes laughed. "Well, now you're just flattering me." Back in the med bay, Strick TAA huddled with a half-dozen alien specialists via holocom. A purple-skinned Renari neurophysicist spoke first. "You say she was scratched, exposed to Jexaran venom, and is still functioning?" Strick TAA nodded. "She is eating." A cybernetic cephalari groaned. "What kind of war species is this?" "She's human," said Strick TAA, shuddering. "A Deathworlder. Their planet has weather that kills. Their animals hunt for sport. Their microorganisms eat flesh. Their oxygen levels are toxic to 70% of known life. She didn't even ask for painkillers. Blurv added, odd. Strict TAA class 2 of his claws. We may have overreacted, but we must proceed carefully. If this scratch triggers a secondary immune mutation, we could be looking at a galactic pandemic. Or worse. Inside quarantine, Reyes did push-ups. She'd finished the tasteless cubes and was already bored. The walls didn't even have a view. When the door hissed open slightly, just a maintenance bot rolling in, she grinned. Time to stretch my legs. She stood, flexed her arm, already healing, and walked casually out of the restricted zone. Just a scratch, she muttered again. Emergency protocols and overreactions. Alert! Subject has breached quarantine. The AI's voice echoed across every deck of the GMS Sanitas. Lights shifted from red to ultraviolet blue, triggering emergency lockdown sequences. Doors sealed. Bulkhead slammed. Medical drones sprang into action, buzzing with frantic energy. And at the center of it all, Sergeant Dana Reyes, humming to herself as she strolled down the corridor in search of coffee. She's on deck 7, heading toward the galley. Dr. Stricte stared at the security feed, antennae wilting with disbelief. She should be in a coma, or developing spores, or dissolving. Blurv oozed anxiously. Her heartbeat is lower than when she was sleeping. Is she whistling? The camera feed confirmed it. Reyes had commandeered a uniform jacket 2 sizes too big, rolled up the sleeves, and was now spooning protein, putting in her mouth while watching alien soap operas on the mess hall screen. Deploy the containment squad, Stricte muttered. Bring stasis nets, neural dampeners, antitoxin sprays, and psychic shields, just in case. The containment team was led by Lieutenant Vorix, a crustacean-like security officer with chitin-plated armor and nerves of steel. Well, usually, they found Reyes sitting cross-legged on a table, telling a wide-eyed cook about the time she got shot on Europa and kept fighting with a cracked rib. Excuse me, Deathworlder, Vorix said cautiously, weapons drawn. You are in violation of multiple medical containment protocols. We must escort you back to isolation. Reyes raised an eyebrow. What for? I feel fine. You are exhibiting signs of asymptomatic resilience. That's just called being in shape, and maybe undergoing a delayed toxin mutation cycle. Reyes stood and stretched. Let me guess. You're worried I'm going to evolve into a monster because I got poked by a jungle weed. The squad stared at her. She laughed. You guys really have no idea how Earth works, do you? Flashback, Earth, Marine Boot Camp, 5 years earlier. Rain fell sideways. Lightning lit up the sky like artillery fire. Reyes crouched in a mud-filled trench, clutching her rifle, soaked to the bone, while drill instructors screamed from every direction. Get up, Reyes. You called it a scratch? That's a paper cut in space. She pushed herself to her feet, blood dripping from a gash on her leg. Yes, drill sergeant. On Earth, we don't stop for bleeding. We stop when we're dead. Back aboard the Sanitas, Reyes scratched her arm. The cut had already scabbed over. I survived boot camp on a planet with venomous squirrels and angry clouds. You think I'm scared of a thorny vine? Dr. Stricte arrived, breathless and overwhelmed. You, Sergeant Reyes, please comply. If you've developed internal ruptures or parasitic interactions, we need to contain them before they breach. Reyes cut him off. Doc, I appreciate the concern, but I've had worse from a kitchen accident. You lost tissue mass. We detected acidic enzymes. Your temperature spiked 0.2 degrees. That was from a pudding. Tasted like fermented socks. Blurv sloshed up, shivering. You're eating. After a toxic scratch. How? Reyes shrugged. I was hungry. Back in the med bay, the council convened a hollow emergency. Representatives of 12 galactic species appeared in flickering blue projections. The conversation was not optimistic. If this Deathworlder is carrying an immune shockwave reaction, said a panicked DeLorean biochemist, it could destabilize our entire viral taxonomy model. She could be mutating right now, or adapting to our atmospheres. What if she becomes immune to us? Dr. Strictier raised his voice. We've run every test. Her biology is baseline human, but her baseline is absurd. Her blood clots in seconds. Her white cell count is triple ours. Her muscle fiber density is, frankly, terrifying. The holographic cephalopod representing the Galactic Epidemiological Council whispered, "Are you suggesting she's not sick?" "I'm suggesting," Srika said with a grimace, "that to her, this is all perfectly normal." Meanwhile, Reyes wandered into the ship's botanical lab. She found a potted Jexerin sprout in containment and stared at it. "You little punk," she muttered, poking the glass. "Try to chew my arm off, huh?" It writhed faintly, as if remembering the encounter. She smirked. "Should have aimed for the neck." Behind her, a horrified lab assistant whispered, "She's taunting it." Dr. Shrikt, having calmed somewhat, approached her with a different tactic. "Sergeant Reyes, may I speak with you? Not as a doctor, but as a curious scientist?" Reyes leaned back against the observation panel, arms crossed. "Shoot, humans. Your species. You were categorized as Deathworlders, yes. But I don't think we understood what that meant. You function in gravity too strong for most species. Your food is toxic. You sweat acid. You bond through shared trauma. And your young play by throwing rocks at each other." Reyes nodded. "Pretty much. We thought Deathworlder meant hostile. But maybe it just means absurdly durable." She chuckled. "You should see my aunt. She gave birth in a pickup truck and went back to work the next day." Sriktier looked like he might faint. "My God." In the control center, the AI updated the emergency status. Status: threat level reassessed. Subject: Reyes Dana. Designation: high durability life form. Risk to ship: none. Risk to medical staff: psychological only. Later that day, Reyes found herself back in the med bay, this time willingly. Sriktier scanned her arm. The scratch was almost gone. No scarring. Cellular repair complete. No pathogen spread, he muttered. "See? Just a scratch." He looked up at her, awe in his compound eyes. "We evacuated 3 decks because of that scratch." Reyes laughed, so hard she nearly fell off the exam table. Contagion or conqueror? The room was silent as the Galactic Pathogen Council reviewed the final medical scans. 12 of the most advanced medical minds in the galaxy sat behind translucent screens, their eyes fixed on the holographic projection of Dana Reyes's blood cells. They weren't multiplying uncontrollably. They weren't mutating. They weren't transmitting anything. They were just aggressively healthy. Dr. Shriktier stood in the center of the hollow chamber. He looked exhausted, antennae limp, exosuit disheveled, but his voice was steady. "We've run the full biogenetic sequencing, toxin absorption analysis, and cross-species exposure trials. Her blood neutralized the Jexerin compound in under 3 minutes. Without synthetic aid. No fever. No inflammation. No cytokine surge. No neurological anomalies." The cephalari representative, tentacled in dour, adjusted his monocle. "Then why did she not perish like every other species exposed to that flora?" "Because," Srikti said slowly, "she's not just a Deathworlder. She's a human." Meanwhile, back in her temporary quarters aboard the Sanitas, Reyes was lifting a repurposed cargo container above her head for reps. She'd gotten bored of the resistance bands. Blurv, observing through the door's viewport, trembled with awe. "She's training. During quarantine. She calls it active recovery," said one of the security staff. "I call it terrifying." Inside, Reyes dropped the container and toweled her neck. "You guys should really invest in a gym. That hallway bench press was a hazard." Blurv finally spoke. Sergeant Reyes?" "Yeah. The council has convened. They're deciding if you're a contagion or a conqueror." Reyes blinked. "Oh, what now?" Sriktier met her in the corridor moments later, walking stiffly. "You're cleared," he said, handing her a clearance badge. "Great. Finally. I got a briefing to prep for back on Earth." "There's more." Reyes narrowed her eyes. "How much more?" He gestured to a small observation window. Inside, a simulation was running. A hologram of a humanoid form. Her profile was moving through environments ranging from Arctic zones to toxic gas planets, to irradiated moons. And surviving. No suit, no gear, just living. "What's this?" she asked. The council ran extrapolated models based on your physiology, stress responses, and immune adaptation rates. You could survive in conditions most species can't comprehend. To them, that makes you one of two things: a walking biohazard or a proto-conqueror. Reyes gave him a flat look. "I got scratched. I'm not here to start an empire. But you could, according to them. That makes them nervous." On the council's private channel, the debate was intense. She shrugs off venom that liquefies lungs. She lifted a containment drone with one arm. She taunted an apex carniplant. A Renari delegate raised their voice. "We cannot afford to ignore the possibility that her kind may one day weaponize this durability. If she is a standard model." "She's not," Stricte interjected, unexpectedly joining the call. "She's a highly trained combat specialist. But even among humans, this level of resilience is not rare. They have millions like her." "Millions?" He nodded grimly. "Their planet is a crucible. Fire, storms, predators, wars, diseases, they survive all of it. And they get stronger." One delegate muttered. "No wonder they colonize so aggressively." Another. "They're not explorers. They're invasive." Back in the galley, Reyes sat with Blurv, sharing a drink. She'd mixed together two species-safe beverages and somehow created something she called Galactic Gatorade. Blurv couldn't even taste half of it. "So," Reyes said, swirling her cup, "they think I'm going to infect the galaxy or conquer it." Blurv pulsed purple, confused but fascinated. "You're unknowable. Most species require decades of adaptation. You're casually immune to planetary toxins. You're a biological weapon without trying." Reyes smirked. "You say that like it's a bad thing." Blurv gurgled. "I don't know. I think it's kind of amazing." Later, Reyes was summoned to a formal hearing, a rare occurrence on a medical vessel. The room was circular, lined with shimmering delegates from across the stars. She stood alone in the center, wearing her patched-up uniform and a mildly amused expression. A Renari moderator spoke. "Sergeant Dana Reyes, you are hereby declared non-contagious, non-hostile, and no longer a class by risk. However, your presence aboard this vessel and your species' innate biology has raised existential concerns." Reyes crossed her arms. "You mean the fact I didn't die scared the hell out of you?" The moderator blinked. "In so many words, yes." A Cephalari delegate leaned forward. "We ask you plainly, does your kind intend to dominate this galaxy through sheer biological superiority?" Reyes laughed, open, loud, and deeply human. "Listen, Earth didn't make us strong so we could conquer the stars. It made us strong so we could survive each other. That's our superpower. We don't die easy. We get back up. We adapt. We improvise, and we move forward because that's what life on a death world teaches you." Silence fell. She took a breath. "If we wanted to conquer the galaxy, we'd have started a long time ago. But we didn't. You invited us here. We just want a seat at the table. Maybe a decent gym, too." Strictaa, watching from the side, smiled with two mandibles. He whispered to himself, "Contagion? No, catalyst." Later, in his final report, Strictaa wrote, "Humanity is not a threat in the viral sense, nor are they conquerors in the traditional way. But they are contagious, an idea, a force, a reminder that resilience is possible against all odds. I feared infection. Instead, I witnessed inspiration." The Galactic Report on Humanity. Title: Subject Species 0421. He. Homo sapiens, common name, human. Classification: Deathworlder, Tier 9 Resilience. Galactic status: monitored, high potential, low aggression. Report compiled by Dr. Strictaa of the GMS Sanitas. Date of submission: Cycle 221.47 Beta. Opening statement. The events following Incident 0421 A, involving a minor botanical scratch sustained by Sergeant Dana Reyes of Earth, have triggered the most extensive biological review of a new member species in over 200 galactic cycles. This is not merely a report on one individual. This is a warning, an admiration, and a curiosity wrapped into one. Section 1. Biological Overview. Human physiology defies common standards of sapient biology. Despite lacking exoskeletal armor, redundant organs, or regenerative appendages, humans compensate through hyperreactive immune systems. White cell surges occur within seconds of trauma. Pathogen identification is swift and brutal. Fever response is near instantaneous. High cellular recovery rates. Minor wounds close within minutes. Deeper wounds that would cripple other species result in mere discomfort and continued activity. Adaptation to extremes. From Arctic sub-zero climates to deserts where even radiation leaks, humans persist. They breathe varied oxygen ratios, tolerate poor nutrition, and metabolize substances considered toxic to most species. One word defines their biology: stubborn. Section 2. Cultural and Psychological Observations. To fully understand humans, we observe the behavior of Sergeant Reyes post-incident. Where others would panic, she remained calm. Where others required sedation, she asked for coffee. Where most species collapse under stress, she cracked jokes. Humans do not just survive trauma. They process it through humor, bonding, and challenge. They train for pain, endure discomfort willingly, and view near death as character building. Key traits: resilience fetishism. Many humans idolize pain endurance. Toughness is a cultural virtue. They create sports involving combat, climbing death traps, or racing through extreme environments for fun. Emotional adaptability. While sensitive to grief and loss, humans recover rapidly and draw strength from shared hardship. Team bonding is often reinforced through stress. Low threshold curiosity. They touch, taste, poke, and press buttons. Their first instinct when facing danger is often to analyze or engage, rather than flee. These traits are not isolated to military personnel. Civilian humans exhibit them to lesser but still remarkable degrees. Section 3. Incident Report. The Scratch. The central event remains absurd in scale versus the reaction it caused. Sergeant Reyes received a laceration from a Jexerin thorn, an organism known to liquefy tissue in 87% of galactic species within hours. The ship triggered full quarantine, multiple bulkhead lockdowns, and initiated a level 4 planetary hazard alert. She walked herself to the galley, ate dessert, watched soap operas, performed light exercise, mocked the plant. Symptoms observed: mild irritation, sarcasm. No other species has responded with such casual immunity to a known class 3 biohazard. The recovery time was shorter than our machine's own sterilization protocols. Section 4. Interstellar Implications. This is the most contentious portion of the report, and the part the Council feared to face. Humanity, even without intent, presents a disruptive biological presence. In high-density stations, they may spread resilient microbiomes that destabilize sterile bioenvironments. In war zones, they cannot be underestimated, not for their firepower, but because they endure. While others retreat, humans advance. Wounded, they continue. Cornered, they become inventive. However, they do not seek conquest. There are no known efforts by Earth governments to enforce biological dominance. No widespread viral colonization. No seeding of aggressive bacteria. In fact, they often overprepare for safety when entering alien zones, wearing full suits, sanitizing equipment, and asking for food allergy lists. Their most dangerous export isn't a virus or weapon. It's their mindset. Section 5. The Human Factor. I asked Sergeant Reyes why she wasn't more concerned about the galactic emergency her scratch caused. She laughed. It's just how we are. Earth's rough. You learn to get up fast or get left behind. She doesn't see herself as exceptional. That's the shocking part. To her, surviving acid thorn toxins and terrifying plants is routine. I believe that is what makes humanity dangerous in the long term. Not because they mean harm, but because they redefine normal. Give a human a challenge, and they'll meet it. Give them adversity, and they'll adapt. They're the only species I've ever seen turn suffering into strength without genetic modification, neural enhancements, or ritual rebirths. We expected fire and fury. Instead, we found endurance and laughter. Final recommendation. Humanity should not be feared, but they should be respected, closely observed, and whenever possible, befriended. Because if the galaxy ever faces an existential threat, it won't be the most advanced species or the strongest warriors that carry us through. It'll be the ones who get up, wipe the blood off, and say that all you got. Addendum. Subject Reyes log excerpt. Alien doctors freaked out over a thorn scratch. Thought I was going to die or evolve into a lizard queen or something. Joke's on them. I've had worse from stepping on a Lego.